Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for registering. And this release is really a record in the features. So it could be a little bit longer, but I hope it's going to be really interesting for you. So who doesn't know me? I'm Renata Kalniūnienė, Marketing Project Manager at MedDream. And today, as you know, our webinars are being recorded. So who cannot join online as today will receive the link to video recording in a few days. And also all the attendees who wants to ask something, our speakers, please write your questions in the question and answer section. I will collect the questions, and in the end of the webinar, I'm going to read them. Hopefully, we could answer them. Today we have our colleagues, Raimundas Mikalauskas, product owner at MedDream. Raimundas is going to be responsible for presenting all the features, going through presentation and explaining the improvements, the enhancements, and new features. Also, today we have a new colleague in our webinars, the PD Dr. Joshua Gawlitza. He's Chief Medical Officer at Synava Group, and he's going to be responsible for live demonstration. Joshua has proven experience in radiology, so I hope that our webinars, quality of them will improve because of his input. So we are very happy for this. And also Artūras Gruodis, our Chief Integration Officer at MedDream. He joined us today to help with integration part and integration related questions. So don't hesitate to ask. Write them in the question and answer section. So this is all from me. Raimundas, I'm passing the word to you and also the screen sharing.
Okay, hello everybody. I'm starting sharing. Renata, do I share correctly?
Yes.
Okay, so this version 8.8.0 was released a bit more than a month ago. And in this version, we have a lot of new functionalities. Earlier, we used to have half of this picture. So now new features. We improved mobile design. We updated and improved to have more friendly design for mobile. And improved settings. So now we can configure which buttons to show in the main menu and which to hide at the more button. And we have possibility to have different menu for mobile and desktop versions. We created quick save hanging protocols button, so the users can put the instances in a viewport and save it as a hanging protocol. Later it can be updated or improved in the hanging protocols management. New functionality for safe workspace state. So we created possibility to save the status of a current analysis. So if a doctor gets a call that he should check for another study, so he can save workspace status, go to work with another study, then come back to the same previous study, and the workspace will be loaded. DICOM upload, as you know, we have send to PACS functionality, which is desktop application. So we started to do first steps to have in the Viewer DICOM upload functionality. At the first point, we implemented only possibility to upload DICOM files without any DICOM changes. In the future, we will see how we will improve it. Of course, the role is needed for that not all the users could upload some studies to the PACS, not to make too much studies or trashes when study update from PACS. So we get some questions that sometimes the study is updated in a PACS later when the doctor starts to work. So now we can configure a system to check with a PACS, is it the latest version? And if PACS give us response that we have much more newer version of a study, so the user can decide and update the study and not to lose manipulation which he done while it's open. Then image filtering, so we added possibility for plugin mechanism to add a picture and to use some filters as smooth, sharpening, edge filtering, then multi-frame synchronization. So we created possibility to synchronize all open multi-frames from the beginning or from the point according to the active study, and all the multi-frames we will synchronize from the start according to active study speed. Improvements in segmentation. So we made a reorganization of the segments naming. Previously we had smart paint and bounding box. Now we have segmentation, which is smart paint, and annotations, and we expanded the annotation functionality. We added new tools like point, polyline, polygon, spline, circle, and ellipse. So everything is now in segmentations part and can be saved in Artūras, and later the users can decide which version to load for a user. And one new thing is that for ultrasound studies, we can do segmentations too. Of course, we need to configure it to make these studies not as multi-frame as virtual series, but we have this possibility. Then zoom, quadrant zoom. We improved quadrant zoom to show if mammography studies are slightly different dimensions, or one of the studies is missing, we still can load quadrant zoom. In previous version, it was limited not to show quadrant zoom. Fit to image. So for mammography studies, we implemented automatically through hanging protocols or manually by selecting fit to image button. The mammography study is shrinked not to show less black background. MPR oblique functionality. So as the studies are growing and growing, and we found that we reached WebGL 3D texture limit. So we implemented workaround for it. Of course, browsers are working on it and expanding this functionality. So if we reach this limitation, we are giving a modal window for the user, and then the user can select which part he wants to create. I will show more detail later. And we improved in Emperor Oblique 3D part. So bounding box cropping, quality selection, orientation change, left, right, top, bottom, and the users now can have different volume presets predefined. As early it was configured development by us. When serious preload, earlier we had that you have a cloud button to preload all the study, but now we implemented the possibility to configure when you dragging a series to viewport, it starts to preload all the series and not a full study, so it is faster. It's configurable and can be set not to use it if it's needed. The reference line, so we added possibility to show first and last image where we have this reference line. It can be turned off at the current study if it's not useful. We created possibility to hide scroll bar if it's disturbing when you watching a lot of multi-frames at the same time. Measurement improvements. So we created cardiac volume measurement, a new way of counting cardiac volume, more suited for cardiac studies. Layouts, we improved that if you have 2 and 2 layouts, and for example, in third layout, you want to do some manipulations, make it bigger, jump to 1-on-1. Previously, the first layout was opened when you change it to 1-on-1 layout. From now, the active viewport will be put it into 1-on-1 layout. Measurements improvements, some icons was updated, then toolbar bar menu. we created possibility to hide labels names, so only the pictures will remain. Histogram functionality, we added control for both when you make a fusion, for both layers to adopt adopt window leveling for the first layer and for the second layer. And we added some SUF-based display adjustments. We got some requests for EKG to make a secondary capture. So we created this functionality, and we were missing some simple print for EKG functionality, so it was created. Advanced PET, we added window leveling possibility to control it, mammography MIP. So if we have tomosynthesis study, and it's configured to show as virtual series, we can create a MIP for that. Later we will show it. Communication API, we improved to set more tools, for example, to open by default segment dialog, to send empty segment lists for users to do segmentation according to the list. We change serial scrolling settings. You can change it through communication API. Then you can activate some measurements like line, area, close polygon, or others, and do not from the MedDream, but through communication API. The users can set FPS values for multi-frame studies and forwarding of shortcuts to MedDream Frame. We have news in Serbia, and yesterday I got a notice from our QA that finally we got new registration as Class 2B in Australia, so very happy about it. Let's go to the details. So as I said previously, we had half of these functionalities, now it's 3 full pages. So mobile design update, we improved double navbar, so users can see more easily reach it, see studies, different studies, information about patient. User can zoom out the thumbnails. He can hide this and work with a study. We implemented possibility to have quick menu in a mobile version to access some functionality faster. And of course, created mobile help for easier to understand how to rotate, pan, zoom things in mobile version. In the settings, so we have desktop and mobile settings. We can say that this button will be shown in desktop or mobile, and we can pin it, so it will be always shown. Otherwise, it will be hidden on the more button. And of course, my mouse disappeared. And of course, to add this functionality to quick menu in mobile, or in desktop version. And we have a control of button labels. We can enable or disable it. Quick save hanging protocols, and then hanging protocols button. We have quick save HP hanging protocols. We can add a shortcut for this button, and the user puts the layer in a viewport the studies instances which he wants, and then he can save as a hanging protocol or save it as workspace state to save a current workflow, then do another work with another study, then come back to this the same previous study, and it will be loaded by default. And later user can change to hanging protocols or whatever he wants. We are saving only one workspace status, which is the latest according to the user. Of course, the shortcut could be set to this functionality too. DICOM upload. So as mentioned previously, in a search window or view window, we have an upload button. So we can take the file to upload or the folder, and only DICOM files will be uploaded to the configured server, where all is needed to have this functionality available for the user. Study update from the pack. So if it's configured, that the MedDream checks if the current study is the same as in the packs. If there are some changes, So we have a new button in a table navbar where the user can push it and the study will be updated. Some new series or missing instances will be added, or new instances will be added to the table navbar, and doctor can work forward and do his manipulations with the study and analysis and do a report. Image filtering. So under more button or under plugins functionality, we can configure a plugin that open, for example, the selected study instance in iframe, in model window, or in a new tab, and then to do manipulations to select which filtering I want to use and to do the capacity of the filtering. And here, as we see here, smooth, edge, sharp, or emboss filtering options. Multi-frame synchronization. So in the management of a multi-frame, we have new buttons, synchronization, and by default is not synchronized, but user can select to synchronize from the start or from the selected part to synchronize all viewports on according to the active viewport speed. Cardiac volume. So we have the old one remains. So users who used to use volume can try with cardiac volume and to see how it works and perhaps reach a better results. Layouts, as I said, if you have 2-on-2 layouts, a user can, for example, activate the fourth layout, change to 1-on-1, and the study will be moved, not as previously it was the first one by default. So it makes for user to work faster. Segmentation. So we reorganized the segmentation. Now we have, instead of bounding box and Smart Paint, we have segmentation and annotation tabs. And the segmentation remains always same functionality as in bounding Smart Paint. And annotation, we expanded this functionality to have new tools like point, polyline, polygon, S-spline, circle, and ellipse. And of course, all these created new measurements are saved in Artūras to the same study and can be opened by version or by, if it's by MedDream, by the latest version, and to manipulate it, edit it, change color, or to check some information about the counted area. And of course, I mentioned previously, ultrasound studies, if it's configured to be virtual series, we can do segmentation on these studies and save it in Artūras and to use in other tools or to compare between different examinations for the same patient. Measurements. So we improved some icons when we new icon for polyline measurement. Nothing seriously done at that part. As said, we can disable, enable menu names. So only the icons will remain. Fit to image. So we have, as you see in a picture for mammography, we have a lot of dark place. So if we push button fit to image, shortcut can be accessed, assigned to. So the study will be cutted and less dark place remains in the background. Quadrant zoom, as you see in a picture, we have slightly different resolution for these mammography studies. So quadrant zoom works, and it could show even if one of the mammography study is missing, left or right, we can show it, and quadrant zoom will work and go through this one study. Reference line, as I said, we start to showing the first and the last reference line, so a user can see how much part of the body he can carry with different instances. It can be disabled if it's not needed, but on the next load it will activate it again. So in next version we will see, perhaps we'll do vice versa, that if user disable it, so not to show it, or we will see how it will go. Height, scroll bar, series preload. So if you have a lot of instances, and some cinemode or ultrasound, and the bar is irritating, so we can hide it. We can set shortcuts for it too, so it could be hide it, and then only the playing function will be shown. And preload while dragging, if I take the series into viewport, it can be configured that by default, it will preload only the selected series, not all the study. Histogram. So in here, if we make a fusion, previously we hadn't had the possibility to change window leveling values in histogram for fused to the second layer. So we implemented possibility to have and to make these changes, to use some scale filters and change window leveling and other values which is needed to do analysis. EKG. So we added secondary capture button, so it could be saved a secondary capture, and we added possibility to have simple print in EKG study too. Missed oblique. As I mentioned previously, we had some limitations of FGL3 detector, so now the doctor, if the system sees that we are reaching this limit, so the doctor can get this model window where he can manually put how much of a study he wants to see, and then push OK, and the study will be generated. Later he can do another part. So in this case, we are not showing black screen as it was previously, but we are allowing to see the study a bit less information in it. Missed oblique 3D improvements, so bounding box for cropping the 3D view. For example, if you see that in here we have some table, so we can crop it and to see the back of the patient without the table information. We have a new button in here for cropping. Quality selection. So if you have not so good computer and then a car with a good card, so we can make a low resolution or medium or high. In the future, we will think and see perhaps ultra high will be part of this functionality too. But at the moment, we need to do more testing and checks. As if we have ultra high, it could do some limits. We can get some limits. Orientation change. So easier to change 3D view front, back, top, bottom, left, right. As previously with a mouse, it's quite difficult to make this orientation. So with one button, you can do it quite fast. And of course, the presets, which are available by default, now can be configured in settings for each user or user settings. Advanced PET, we added window leveling configuration possibility too, as previously we haven't had edit. So now the user can edit PET and first layer of histogram of a few study by mouse from a main menu, and then if it's need, a fuse layer to configure to change window leveling too. Mammography MIP functionality. So as I mentioned, tomosynthesis study. We have a MIP button. We're pushing this MIP button, and the study is generated, and we can change the capacity of a MIP. And in later version, we will do some 3D things to show how much thickness is of this MIP value. What's still communication API? As I mentioned, dental cert possibility to create through API, open segmentation dialog, empty segment list for easier user workflow, that your user knows what segments he needs to segment. Possibility to change the links called series setting to disable it, and the synchronization will not work on scrolling. Activate measurement tool, so whatever tools are in the system can be registered and activated by communication API. Set FOPS values for multiframe studies, and forwarding of shortcuts to MedDream in iframe. It's to give a result for client. Serbia classification was succeeded last year in this version, and the new one registered in Australia. As I mentioned yesterday, we finally got it, and we are happy that we can move and sell our product in Australia officially. Okay, so now questions. So questions will be with Renata. Okay, Joshua, please show more in a system.
Alrighty, then thanks a lot, Raimundas. And I will share my screen now and take a little bit over. Okay, I hope you can see my screen now.
Yes.
Alrighty, perfect. So basically, Raimundas told you everything already about in the theoretics part. I wanna name it, and now we just want to get a bit more into the feeling. What does it mean to the actual practical working? So when I'm opening, for example, here the study, it's a polytrauma patient that came to the hospital, whatever, and or maybe you have some external images that you opened here. You can see that potentially your hanging protocols are not properly gripping to it. So what you want to do is you just want to refer super quickly to the standard hanging protocols that you're using. So for example, you're opening here potentially the soft windowing. You want to have, for example, here the lung window. You might want to have the hard kernel over there, and maybe a contrast media enhanced phase over there. And what I think personally, this is one of the biggest game changers that we had so far in MedDream, that you can just go here and say like, okay, I want to save this workspace state. And if I now leave this whole thing, and as Raimundas already said, potentially some other emergency comes in, maybe the surgeon comes in and wants to look at some other things, I can just resume here and everything will be saved as before. And this is fairly amazing. And especially in the initial setup, as you can not only save the workspace state, but you can also save the complete hanging protocol, which will make it much, much easier for the partners, but also the clinics to actually get the hanging protocols as they want them to be. Another amazing thing that was just on the slide, like one small image, but personally, I also think is fairly big thing just in the daily doing, is that when you change the layout to a 1x1 layout, that still your active window will be selected. So of course, you can still double click if you want to look at one image more precisely, but if you just change to the 1x1 layout, you will still stick to the selected viewport that you had from before. And in my opinion, this is a great thing, because previously it was just completely arbitrary to which one the viewer was jumping, and that was, to put it nicely, fairly unpleasant in the daily doing. Yeah, and I think this makes it much more easy. Coming to the segmentation part, we also previously got a question in regard to segmentation. We can get to that a little bit later, but I think the segmentation's got now a little bit more easy and a little bit better structured overall. So you still have your smart pane functionality. So I'm currently on my notebook, so please, I don't have a mouse. I only have a trackpad. So please be kind that the kidney is not properly marked right now. So you have the segmentation as you know it, but especially under the annotations, if I create, for example, a new annotation, you now have all these tools combined under here, and you don't only need to make a circle or an ellipse. You can basically choose from the whole set of annotations that we already had before. Okay, another thing that Raimundas was already telling you, which I fairly enjoy, and honestly I think is a pretty big step actually within the MedDream viewer, is the whole 3D of the mist oblique. In general, if you are familiar with other viewers like Sectra, for example, in the bigger style, to get like this, like a volume rendering, sometimes takes a lot of time. So for me, just briefly putting that up when a surgeon comes in, or trauma surgeon, and really show them, hey, this is broken like this. Here you have really the 3 dimensions to show. It's something different. And previously you always had to rotate, and it's quite finicky. Like, how can you rotate that you look like it from the proper angle? And here you can really quickly select, okay, I want to look from the bottom, I want to look from the left, from the right, and so on, to look from the frontal part and the coronary axis. This makes it fairly easy. Also, I think the cropping functionality is the very first step in the right direction. I think in the future there will probably come even more to that regard. But as you can see, you can, for example, get rid of the table or something behind the patient. So this is already like a first step to get into a proper image post-processing. Another thing, and only to put that into perspective, if you look, for example, at this 3D rendering, as I said, I'm currently on my just regular Office notebook. So this is a XPS from Dell, not to make any advertisement here, but also with the ARM processor, so with a mobile chip, a proper mobile phone chip. And even I can get here, for example, to the high settings. I can also switch over to medium or low. So I'm quite confident that most of machines out there will be capable of handling the high settings. But as Raimundas already said, the future has to tell if this is something that you can really roll out in the big mass or not. Okay. Let's head over to the next features. We only briefly talked about this, but when you look into PET imaging or general nuclear medicine, one really important thing that was missing in the previous version of MedDream was that you can basically select from the histogram. Why is that? If you're not that into the nuclear medicine medical world, or you don't have too many customers in that area, you probably will not know. But the histogram that you see is potentially all the story that is needed, because what you're looking at a PET image basically is the metabolism of certain cells, right? And of course, like big metabolic systems as the brain, they shine very bright, right? Or the heart muscle or the kidneys or so. But you want to find the tumor. And so what you can basically do now is, as you can use the histogram in the fused version, you can really say, okay, please, I want to put a hard threshold, let's say at everything above 4 or 5 SUV, everything else will be completely dark. So if I scroll now through the image, you can see it's not like before. So the kidneys only have a little bit activation here. The heart is basically without any activity at all. So if this was a proper tumor patient, the tumor would shine really bright. And this makes it fairly easy over a series of studies to see with a threshold like, hey, okay, how much tumor mass do I have over there? And so we cannot quantize that yet, the tumor mass above a certain threshold, but certainly this is the first very important step into the right direction. So I think we're heading there slowly but very nicely. So I think this is a very important thing that was missing previously from a clinical perspective. Okay, heading over to mammography. There I'm also very pleased that we are doing a lot of progress over there, because I was fairly long in a sonology department. And one big thing that was changed, as you can see here, this is a proper mammogram, how it should look, right? But you cannot guarantee that. So sometimes, especially when you get pictures from outside, you cannot guarantee that they are properly aligned. So first of all, that you have this align and lock feature, very nice to have, but also that you can fit it basically to the size of the viewport, because especially with external images, when it's not in your own institute or your customer's institute, where it's not perfectly optimized, the images might be really cropped and you have a lot of black space. And especially in mammography, it's important that you use all the real estate that you have on your screen. So I think this is a really nice thing. Also, when we go further to the tomosynthesis, we basically have within here now a feature that some of the, for example, if you know the hologic systems, mammography systems, they also introduced the MIP feature. So if I create the MIP over here, I can basically also select like how many pictures do I want to add here in the whole MIP. I now actually select all, and then he will calculate the MIP for me, and I can scroll through it. And as you know, for the other MIP instances that you have, for example, in computed tomography or so, I can select down here with this bar how many images should be included actually into this MIP series, which I personally find also is a very nice feature to add. Another thing is that we have the quadrant stepping now a bit optimized. So especially in larger studies, when you scroll through it, you can really get into the detail, and you have this kind of mini viewport over here where you can look through it. And yeah, so I think overall the quadrant zoom becomes now a really feasible feature. There's a lot more details to show. So, for example, you could get rid here of the small namings above here, but I think this is the most important stuff for the clinical view in my perspective. And also what we actually used already yesterday, as I'm currently working with a bit older PACS system here. I have the big benefit that I can now upload DICOM pictures immediately. So if you, for example, sell like a backend which has a bit complicated structure to upload pictures to, it's fairly nice that we now have the upload DICOM functionality within the MedDream viewer itself. Yeah, that's what I wanted to show and give a bit more practical views on that. And I can think we can go over to some of the questions that we got.
Thank you so much. Thank you both. Thank you, Joshua, for your impressive live demonstration, and thank you, Raimundas, for huge work presenting all these features, because at this release we have 2-in-1 according to the amount of features. So I'm going to share my screen with questions now and read them. So these are the questions we got before the registration. So the first one, I would like to know if it's possible to plan a mini training demonstration specifically for installing the software and some uncommon tool settings or setups. For example, tool that might not be enabled by default. Raimundas, maybe you can answer.
So we are preparing some information between moving from one version to another version in install manual. So you can find which settings was changed or the new settings which are not activated by default, for example, or the default value for that. Another thing is that we are preparing install manual like configuration video, and of course talk with your sales person, and he can organize trainings for these things too.
Thank you, Raimundas. So basically, contact your sales manager and talk about these trainings and the help. So the second one, for the DICOM upload functionality, are the uploaded images checked for compliance with the DICOM standards? Are the patient's demographic details matched with the existing records in the PACS? Or is a new patient record created in the PACS if the data are slightly different, for example, different patient identifier?
So as I mentioned previously, this is our first steps to have this upload functionality. So at the moment we can upload only DICOM files, and the uploading and PACS checks if everything is okay, and then he gets these files and then it's accessible through the viewer. But at the moment we can't change patient identifier, but in the future we will see how to improve this functionality.
So basically we let this check for the PACS. We simple do move store actually to the PACS, and depending on the PACS functionality, it will create either new patient ID or will merge the study. It's actually like you can treat like you are sending images from any regular workstation using store functionality.
Okay, thank you for the answers. The third question from 3 parts. So the first part, PET imaging.
Yes.
Yes, it's possible. And I think Joshua showed it.
Yeah, maybe I can take even over the other question because they are kind of related together. So PET imaging, yes. yes and kind of. So automatic segmentation, as you can see, we have some segmentation tools, but currently they are all manual or semi-manual. So in case you can interpolate between slices. And this also comes to the total metabolic volume. Currently, we have the histogram functionality within the MedDream Viewer, where you have kind of optical reference to the previous studies, but currently there are no automatic segmentations to total metabolic volume. So this is something we could think about in the future, but currently you basically have the tools that I just showed you previously with the PET imaging.
Okay, thank you. And we got another question related to segmentation, so I'll read this now. How can I use the segmentations to train AI models?
Yeah, kind of answered that already, but I want to make it public. So in the when you do segmentations in the MedDream Viewer, you have basically two things that you can do. It depends on the AI that you want to train. So you have the capability to export STL files. So therefore you have kind of shapes and you have information about what's inside. But also when you're a bit more into the details, you also have kind of radiomics parameters. So you have things like the mean density. You have basically the kurtosis of the density within the things that you're measuring. You have the volume and stuff like that. So it kind of depends on the AI models that you want to train. But I think that the segmentations give you a fair amount of insight there already, if you want to use it.
Okay, thank you. And we got one more question during registration. We are evaluating MedDream as a potential radiology viewer to integrate with our PACS platform and would appreciate clarification on specific points. And our registrant wrote us quite a few questions. So we have already passed these questions to our sales manager, and she already replied to this registrant. So please check your email and contact directly with our sales manager to go through these points which are important to you to do a proper evaluation. And also one more, after webinar, all registrants will receive some questions if we would like our sales representative to contact them after the webinar. So for those who are not our existing customers, who are new, this would be really important. So our sales people could contact you and answer your questions, what is very important for you, so you could understand MedDream better. And we got one more question.
Wait, Renata, but I will add some more details. So, for example, with different PACSes, we have plugin mechanism where we can make integrations with DICOM Web or with Query plugin integration, or we can create some integration with different PACSes. So everything is possible. Of course, an integration with some histories, it's possible too, but we need to analyze your case.
Yes. So please check your email because our sales manager already replied to you. So I'm going to read new questions we just got. How far has MedDream progressed with AI integration, and what would be the best way to get started with that journey?
Okay, so if some AI will send us some PDF or AirTest or other files, we can show it in a system, or we can communicate with AI through our communication API, and he can show the results directly. So we can show it if AI do something or stores it in a system.
I would even go maybe a bit further and say, because we already got the showcase of MedDream, that you can actually modify within the MedDream viewer. So of course, it depends on the AI tool that you're using and if they are willing to integrate that far via the API. But basically, you could use MedDream also as the primary tool to interact with the AI and immediately get, for example, results after the segmentation, etc. So it really depends kind of the system, I would say, right? It goes from just getting PDF results and showing them into the like most proper way as MedDream has it with certain tools, that you really are basically the main window of interacting also with the AI, and immediately you can see the results. So it's kind of the whole spectrum, but the capabilities are there. So it kind of depends on the system that you're using.
Okay, thank you for your answers. Next one, how can I export the segmentations or bounding boxes?
So in our segmentation, we are storing all the data to Artūras, and it's sent to the packs. So if you export the study from the packs, you will get this Artūras together and even versions of this Artūras, and then you can use it in your other tools or other equipment or for AI learning if it's needed.
Okay, thank you. If nobody is adding anything, I think this are all the questions. So I believe our webinar was informative, so you don't need to ask more questions. So I'm going to move to the next slide of mine. This you see in February, MedDream team will have 2 exhibitions. One just rebranded, previously Arab Health, so WH6 Dubai. So come and visit MedDream team there. And also this year we are planning a few new exhibitions, and in February it's going to be Viewer. For MedDream, new exhibition in USA. So for our partners and customers who are visiting either VH6 Dubai or Viewer, come to us, visit our booth, or write to info@meddream.com, and we can schedule a meeting for you. Also, I will take a chance to inform that March also will be busy as always. 2 exhibitions, ECR in Vienna in Europe and another one, HIMSS in USA. So also contact with us, let's schedule a meeting and let's meet. And I see we have one more question, so I'm going to read it. Does the study update from packs works with DICOM web plugin?
Let me check. I know that we have some PACS limitations. Okay, so it works with PAX1, QR, DCMFOC 2 and 5, and storage peak and Orton. So DICOM web, perhaps we need to think for the next versions to improve it.
DICOM web is not supported at the moment.
At the moment, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So I think this is it for our new release webinar. For all the who registered, check your emails after. You will receive the video link in a few days and also the link to the presentation file, so you could share with your colleagues and get to know new release better. Also try our demo or download it, and also let's meet in the exhibitions. And so I want to thank our team today, Raimundas, Joshua, great debut. I believe everyone is happy that you join us for our new release webinars, and also Artūras for help. So thank you everyone for attending. Thank you everyone who joined, and see you on our next events. Thank you.
Thank you to everybody, and thank you to Renata.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.